Hey guys, it is MissSimReno. If you are returning to the channel, welcome back. And if you are brand new, I am very excited that you decided to join me here today for another speed build. And as you can tell from the title, I'm calling this a good family home. And I thought to myself, can I call a build a good family home and just leave it at that? Well, turns out I can. And I think it's really weird still because I couldn't come up with any other name for this home. But this is kind of like a simple suburban home. It's not a particular style, but I really do like how it came out. And it ends up being a 3-bedroom, 3 full bathroom home, which is pretty wild. And there's also a detached garage, which I thought was kind of a nice element. I've been adding kind of like attached garages to a few of my builds lately, especially the base game only builds that I've been doing. And I thought it was kind of nice to keep that going, include a garage in this build, and actually have it detached at this point because I was kind of getting tired of having to raise the terrain up to the garage door and kind of have it like it would be up to the garage door and I'd have to kind of smooth it out, and it was always a pain and it looks really awkward at times. So I decided to just make the garage detached this time. But I really like the color scheme of this home too. Typically when I do an exterior and it's very strong and like boldly contrasted with maybe black or white or something like that, I tend to go ahead and make the interior that same kind of color scheme. I don't know why I have the urge to do that, but I actually avoided it this time, which made me happy. And even though there is kind of like this strong contrast with black and white on the exterior, the siding is actually a kind of a pale yellow, I want to say, kind of a cream color, and you can't really tell just because of the lighting that I chose to build in. In fact, at one point off camera, I think, at least I hope, I think it's off camera, I actually flipped the home to kind of face where the sunlight was coming from at a different time of the day to make sure that the colors looked nice together. It's really challenging. Like this lot, at least the lighting on this lot, looks really, really nice in the evening light, I believe is what it is when you're in build mode. However, all other times of the day, everything's kind of cast in like this bluish hue to it because the sun ends up being behind the home. So it's kind of interesting, but here I am working on the landscaping, which is very, very simple. I actually tried to trim it back a little bit in this build. Typically, I'll use, anywhere between like 5 to 6 different plants and kind of, mix them up. But I decided, you know what, maybe I'll just use like 2 or 3 this time. Just keep it really simple. And I think it looks okay. It was a little awkward for me just because I'm used to using so many different plants, but I used some debug plants as well as some of the low-lying like pansy flowers just to kind of give it a little bit of depth. But I feel like a lot of homes simply just have like bushes surrounding the property, so I thought it kind of worked. And I also used some debug fences to fence in the front of the build, and I actually end up doing it at the end as well. You'll see me go in and out of the interior and the exterior because this has kind of been my approach lately. If you guys haven't checked out a few of my latest speed builds, I have kind of been doing the front of the home and then the interior, and then I kind of work out the rest of the window placement as well as door placement and just kind of like the exterior structures and whatnot that I kind of want to add on to the build, because I realized that in placing all of the windows before I do the floor plan, it ends up restricting the floor plan. Like I can't do exactly what I want. So as you can see in here, I went ahead and started on that floor plan so I could then choose the window placement. So you will notice on the exterior of this build, there are windows that look like they're kind of spaced awkwardly. And honestly, I think it's more realistic, even though it kind of physically hurt me. Like I thought it looked really weird. I ended up just kind of sticking with it because that is realistic. And I wanted the windows to actually be placed in a way that matched the floor plan that I had. And the floor plan I thought was fairly realistic. So that's how we got to where we are right now. But I am working on the floor plan at the moment, and there is a full bathroom downstairs as well as 2 full bathrooms upstairs. You may notice in the next couple of minutes that I finished the entire first floor without a staircase. I'm gonna call that one out right now. I completely spaced on the staircase. How? I have no idea. And then I was like, oh my God, I don't know if I can like shake up the floor plan I've already laid out. Maybe I'll just use a ladder. And then I thought, that's ridiculous. This is like a full-on home, not like a storage container home, not a tiny home, like nothing like that. No quote-unquote normal I don't know if that's even the right word, but quote unquote normal house would have just a ladder to get to the second floor. Like, houses just aren't built that way. So I was like, oh my gosh, all right, I have to kind of reshuffle things. So what I end up doing, at least near the end of the first floor furnishing, is I add a staircase in the kitchen, kind of near that archway right there. So where I'm putting these cabinets, those end up getting removed, even though I really liked them there. They end up getting removed. There's like a slight change in the shape of the living space and the kitchen just to accommodate that staircase, but it ends up working just fine. And I was so relieved because once I furnished everything, I liked it too much and I didn't want to dismantle it just to try to get a staircase in there, but there was nowhere else I could put the freaking staircase. I had like a meltdown about it. I'm not even kidding. I finished the first floor and I was like, I don't know what to do. Do I scrap the whole build? Like, that's where my head went. I almost scrapped the entire build because I was so mad at myself for forgetting a freaking staircase. But I am working on the little front entryway right here. It's a little awkward. I typically don't like the front doors just leading directly into a kitchen or like living room or anything like that. I like there to be a little bit of a foyer space, a little bit of an entryway. So this kind of worked. It was a little weird at first, but what I end up doing is I actually, kind of near the end of the first floor interior decorating as well, is I swap out the floor with a different tile first off, and then second, that little entry area actually has wood floors just like the rest of the home. So it kind of separated it a little tiny bit. It felt a little bit more comfortable, maybe a little bit more realistic to me. And now I decided to work on the dining room because I was actually really struggling with what I wanted the interior of this home to look like. The kitchen actually left me really uncomfortable because it's not a color scheme I typically work in. And those countertops from Cool Kitchen Stuff, I usually just use the white and brown swatch and that's it. So it was really weird for me to actually kind of branch out, use like the darker appliances, but I felt that it was pulling me towards that black and white interior and color scheme that I was trying to basically subconsciously emulate from the exterior. So I forced myself to choose some like pastels and light colors for the dining room and work from there so it could kind of set the tone for me. I don't know, am I the only one that struggles with this? Because it was really difficult, to be frank. Like, it was honestly really hard, but I really liked the dining space and I was like, okay, this has set the tone. I can move on to the living room and maybe I can add that last element to the kitchen and entryway just to kind of break it apart just a little tiny bit. And the living space is, I think, really, really cozy. I did finally use the cats and dogs couch again, which I have not used in some time. I haven't used it in a long time, actually. I've been using the eco lifestyle stuff so much because it's so easy to use. But this was a great opportunity to yet again branch out and use some of the other items that we have that I have not touched in some time. So it was a very cozy living room. I used I think a healthy mix of different kinds of woods and wood textures, wood colors, and stuff like that. However, I am now getting in the habit of using these eco lifestyle floorboards with that particular parenthood paneling. So you've probably seen it in maybe like 3 of my builds so far, like recent builds, and I'm trying very, very hard to not use it next time because I don't want all of my builds to have kind of that same floor and wallpaper color scheme, though I guess at the end of the day, it really depends on how you decorate the home as well. So I try to keep the actual interior decorating very different for a lot of my homes, or at least for the most part. I don't know, but let me know what you guys think. Am I using this combo a little too much? I kind of want your opinions there because I build so often too that it might feel as though I use it more often than I actually do. So I kind of lose perspective on it sometimes. But here I placed the brand new little cardboard box, like treehouse, dollhouse thing that we got with Eco Lifestyle, and just a couple of bookcases and wall decorations. Again, I end up changing the shape of this room just ever so slightly to accommodate the staircase I add in the kitchen, but nothing major was removed whatsoever. And I did playtest this build because I was very nervous about the bookcase near the couches. I thought it was going to block the entryway to the dining space, and it does not. Again, I think it's because when we got tiny living stuff, I feel like they made an adjustment to some of the routing issues for Sims, and they allowed them to kind of walk in smaller spaces, if that makes any sense. That's totally unconfirmed, at least for me yet. So I have no idea if that's true, but that's what I feel like happened, because they were able to get to the dining room no problem. They can get into this little office space here on the other side of the living room, which I really enjoy. I was trying to think of the family that lived here, and I was thinking that this was either mom or dad's office. Maybe they share it. I'm not quite sure. But I think dad was previously a pro athlete in some way, shape, or form. Or maybe he was striving to be. Maybe he was in like minor league baseball or something. I don't know. Because I hang a jersey in the office. And now I'm actually adding these little floor decorations that came with Get Famous. They're these little, or City Living actually. And they're little storm drains technically, but they looked like heating grates. So like a house that has forced hot air heat, it looked like those would be the what's it called, the drains. Those would be the drains, or like the vents. That's what I'm trying to say, the vents that would actually like force the hot air heat throughout the whole home. So I actually put them in every single room in this home. And now when I play tested this though, I only did it for maybe a day. Maybe I think a full day, like in Sims time. And then I thought about it. Oh no, these are from City Living. What if these drains break? Because these are the drains from the Needs TLC apartments. So if I place them in a home, are they all going to ooze? Because that's what they do. It's so gross. So they ooze in City Living in those apartments, and then you need to repair it or call the landlord. If they're in a home and they do that, does that mean that they're all going to break or ooze at the same time? And do the Sims have to repair them? So I'm a little worried. I didn't play test it for like days and days to see if it would happen. So if you guys do download this build and that happens, I am so sorry. Please remove all of them. In fact, you know what? I've just made the decision in the midst of this voiceover that before I upload this to the gallery, I'm going to delete all of them because I don't want that to happen. However, if it doesn't happen, like if that doesn't work and that doesn't actually take place when you're playing the game, feel free to add them back. That's my word of advice. But here I am adding these stairs, and I just had to adjust the archway leading to that little kind of like back door area and kind of shuffle around the counters just a little tiny bit just to make this workable, and so the Sims could actually navigate around the kitchen and, you know, go out the back door and all that fun stuff. And it worked perfectly fine. So then we move on to the second story where there are 2 more full bathrooms and the 3 bedrooms. And there's also this little landing space that honestly takes a lot of room, but it didn't impact my ability to basically fit the amount of Sims I wanted in here and the amount of bathrooms and stuff like that. The only odd part is that there isn't an ensuite bathroom for the parents, so all the bathrooms are accessible via that little landing space. There is one on the side of the parents' room and one on the side of the teenage Sims room, because I was envisioning that this family had at least 1 teenage Sim. I was thinking she was a girl, and 2 child Sims who I have not explored very much. One of them is very into like magic, but also like robots and like void critters and stuff like that. And then the other one is a little bit more artistic. Seems to kind of be the duality that I go for when I start making Sims that are kind of the same age in regards to like families, but I'm trying to gravitate away from that too. I'm trying to think of more in-depth kind of, I don't know, hobbies and likes and dislikes for my Sims, even though we may not have them in game to emulate. I'm trying to branch out a little bit more in that way in like my storytelling. So hopefully it's something that I can implement for some of my challenges and Let's Plays, but I also want to speak about it here in Speed Build. So that was kind of my thought. And now I'm working on the parents' bedroom, and it's really nice because they not only have obviously, you know, their bed and their full dresser, but they have a TV in their room as well, and 2 bookcases, so they can really kind of escape all of the kids in their room, which I thought was a really nice idea. So I kind of made this little makeshift entertainment center. I used this shelf, is it considered a shelf? Yeah, I think it's considered like a storage shelf, and it comes from Seasons, and it does have like plates and dishes and stuff in it. It's kind of like a little, it's not really a china cabinet, I suppose, but it's for storage at the end of the day. But I thought it still worked. I kind of just ignored the fact that there are plates and stuff in there, and you know what? Who knows? I'm not gonna judge. You can store your stuff wherever you want, so maybe they do store it in their bedroom. But I do really like their room. It has some very soft colors, and it looks really cozy. And then I move on to the kids' room, and I went with kind of like this more so orange and yellow theme. I really am enjoying orange lately in The Sims 2. Yellow is my favorite color in general, but I'm really enjoying the oranges and whatnot that we have in The Sims. So I also not only made the beds have orange bedding, but just so happened that that orange bedding had the orangey wood, the orangey wood color as well. Words are not my strong suit at all today. And then I just put a little shelf above each bed with just a couple of clutter items and a painting. Each one had a painting. That one came from the Tiny Living stuff as well. And I thought it was cute. Maybe they're twins, maybe they're not. I'm not really sure. Doesn't really matter at the end of the day. But I do like the clutter items that I chose. So this one has a little kind of like, well, a unicorn bank. I can't really call it a piggy bank because it's not a pig. So like a little unicorn, like change holder. Wow. Yeah, that's a terrible name for it. And then this one has like a little snow globe and a plant, as well as their favorite Void Critter card, because again, I was thinking that one of them really, really liked Void Critters, and maybe they've been begging their parents to get the little Void Critter battle station toy that the kids have available to them. It's just so big, so I honestly couldn't fit it here somewhere, but maybe that's something that they've been begging for like Winterfest, which I thought was a cute idea. There's also a little growth chart and some kids clutter. I mean, it's a pretty cluttered room considering how small it is, and in retrospect, this maybe could have been the teenagers' room just because there are 2 kids, so they probably need a little bit more space. But I was thinking that this family basically had their teenage daughter, and all right, so the kids are basically twins at this point. So they had their teenage daughter and they were like, well, let's have one more and then, you know, we won't have any more kids. And they got a big surprise when they found out that they were expecting twins. And by that point, their teenage daughter was like, absolutely no way. Like, I don't want to give up my room. Like maybe she was a preteen at the time or something. And she was like, no, like this is my room. And they just thought, you know what? We're not going to rock the boat here. We can keep the babies in like the nursery, and then maybe in the future they could swap rooms, and it like never happened. That's what I was thinking. Sounds like a realistic family dynamic potentially. I don't really know, especially like if you have a teenage girl. I mean, me as a teenage girl, I was difficult. There were definitely moments like I was not the easiest teenager to deal with, but I feel like teenagers, you know, they go through some stuff. You gotta let them process it. But having your own space is really important, I feel, as a teenager. I mean, you're already so vulnerable to like the world around you that it's nice to be able to escape to your own space that you can kind of personalize. So that was my thought. Kids can pretty much adapt to most things, so I thought the teenager should have her own room and that it should be big enough because she does have a desk as well as just kind of like a little hangout corner where she can listen to her music. And I think that she's actually very much into music, so I give her a violin. So maybe she's been taking violin lessons since she was a little kid, and it's something that she has really, really stuck with. In fact, she's hoping to maybe go to university and study music and become like a professional musician in some way, shape, or form. I really liked that idea, and being a musician, I feel like you might want your own space to practice as well. And hopefully you have a door to close so everyone else doesn't have to listen to the early stages of practice where you're not so great. So that was kind of my logic. But I really liked that idea, and her room looks really, really cozy. It kind of has this like seafoam green and blue color scheme with the orangey woods, and I really liked that as well. So hopefully you guys do enjoy her room and the kids' room. And the bathrooms are pretty much identical, which is why I kind of sped right through them. But now I'm working on the back little patio and then the backyard, which means that we're getting close to the end of the build as well. That's pretty much all we have left, including the garage, which I actually make somewhat functional. So it's not just there for fun. But I wrapped up the landscaping in the backyard first, just really replicating it from the front yard using the exact same plants and really not going like overboard with it, to be frank. And I still really like the way it looks. Now that I watch it back too, I think it looks really, really nice. And I didn't put it everywhere. Like what I used to do is I used to go ahead and outline the entire lot with landscaping, and I really resisted the urge to do that here. And I used a lot of the debug fences to kind of break that up a little bit because I do enclose the backyard as well as what I did in the front yard. But first I work on the garage, and I put one of these debug cars in here, so at least it looks like a garage. And I don't know, I'm just really crossing my fingers and hoping we get cars at some point. That would be really, really cool if we got cars in The Sims. That would be great. I loved them in The Sims. Well, we had them in The Sims 2, didn't we? I don't remember, but I loved them in The Sims 3. I loved the parents being able to take their teenagers and teach them how to drive, and the car would like stop short and you would like hear the noises, and their little like skill would go up. And if they did it, I think they had to get that skill to like level 3 or something like that. And I know that they could basically pass like their driver's test or something. I don't exactly remember how it works. I haven't played The Sims 3 in a long time now, but I loved that level of realism. I think that came with Generations as well, just like that ability, that playthrough. So that was really cool, and I would love to see that in The Sims 4. I've actually been playing the game a lot off camera with a very special family that I may share in the future, and I'm noticing that there are actually a lot of cool gameplay features in The Sims. Now, I don't want my head to be bitten off here. There are certain things that I feel are very fundamental to gameplay that are still missing. But some of the interactions and like the mannerisms and behaviors that I've seen with some of the gameplay interactions that we have currently are like pretty astounding. So I'm actually giving the game a little bit more kudos than I usually do in regards to actual gameplay. But all in all, I want something more so for like Generations for The Sims 4, because I think that would be great. Parenthood didn't really cut it for me. It just really didn't, and I want more Sims in certain age groups to be able to do more things. But I'm optimistic at this point, because I know we're getting a game pack this summer or in the fall. Fun fact, we're also getting Nifty Knitting, which I am so excited for. That should be in like the next couple of months. But anyway, we are actually almost to the end of the build here, just adding a few finishing touches to the garage and the backyard, as well as some lights on the exterior. And yeah, that's pretty much it. So I hope that you guys enjoyed this build and a very rambly voiceover, and I will catch you guys next time I post a video, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye!
Do you miss me at all? Do you think about the things we used to do? No, you couldn't stand tall. So why didn't you call? So many years has gone by, but I think about you all the time. Looks like you're changing and all, but why didn't you call? Something in the air, always something in the air. Inexplicable, I can feel it in the air. Can you feel me? Can you feel me? Can you feel me? Do you miss me at all? Do you think about the things we used to do? No, you couldn't stand tall. So why didn't you call? So many years has gone by, but I think about you all the time. Looks like you're changing and all, but why didn't you call?